Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Sounds good.
Okay.
Am I still sounding okay?
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Berges. Today we got a great show for you. We have a great show for you because we're going to be talking about the concept of moving, about how it affects all of us, right? It affects all of us, whether what age we are. It doesn't matter if we're an adult. It doesn't matter if we're a child. And a lot of times we don't realize how it affects the children. We don't realize how much it can affect them. And it's interesting because we realize that it affects us, right? Anytime that you've ever moved, you realize that you have to, you have to pack up everything. You've got to be ready to move to a new location. You're going to miss some of your friends that were there. You know, the life that you had there, you're restarting, basically restarting your life and creating a new chapter. And can be some excitement, obviously, around that, and some fun and some new adventures and some new memories. But in the same situation, there can be stress, anxiety, wondering about the unknown, fear of what can happen, fear of losing friends, and what's going to happen in the unknown. And so I find it very interesting that it gives us an opportunity to learn more about ourselves. But I've also met somebody that's realized the impact of that, connected with the impact of what that does to a child after going through it in their own life with their own children, and understanding how important it is to bridge the gap in understanding and to help with that stress level and anxiety that comes really when that new situation takes place. Marla Huehmer is joining me today on Live Your True Life Perspectives. She's a school psychologist. And also, it's interesting because she's also created this new book, written The Big Move. She has a new book coming out soon. And also she has a group and a company called ThinkAheadKids.com that we'll be talking about here in a bit. Marla, great to have you live on Live Your True Life Perspectives. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you for inviting me to your show. I'm excited.
How is your day going today, Marla?
It's going pretty good. Expecting it to be a little warmer right now, but it's actually great weather. So
technical difficulty. Hold on one second.
Okay.
It seems like there's some sort of problem. Hold on one second, Marla. We got some sort of technical difficulty here.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Okay. Marla, sorry, stand by. Let's see if we can go on and get this audio check up here a second. Okay, guys, we're trying to figure out what's happening here on the station here, and hopefully we can get the audio back in. Okay, Marla, here we go. It's great to have you on the show. Tell me more about your inspiration for the book.
Oh, great. Yeah, can you hear me okay? Can you hear me? Hello. I just wanted to make sure you...
Oh, great. We're back. Sorry, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty. Sorry about that.
Okay.
It was a little scary. So, Marla, great to have you on. Let's start again here. Marla Huehmer is here. She's a school psychologist, and she has her book out, The Big Move. Marla, what was your inspiration for the book?
I wrote The Big Move based on we were moving from one end of California down to the other part of California, and it was a pretty big move for us. And in the process, it can be very stressful. You're trying to figure out, how can I find a new home? How can I get my house sold? How can I get my kids in the right school? You're searching for so many things at the time. And then also not only with the searches, but you're dealing with feelings and emotions and, not only the adults' emotions and the worry and the fear and what's the unknown going to be like, but also my little kids. They were concerned about leaving their friends and their surroundings, the places they would visit often, that they've become familiar with. And then I had my little one. She was only about 2 at the time, or maybe, 2 at the time. And she thought she was going to have to leave everything behind. She came to me and she says, I'm going to miss my toys and my blankets and this and that. And I told her, oh, no, sweetie. You actually, we're bringing everything with us. We're not going to leave your things behind. We're going to pack them up and put them in a box, and they're going to be at our new home. So that's what inspired me, was the thought that I think oftentimes we kind of just pick up kids and drag them around, and we don't give them the time to hear what they're going through and hear what they're feeling. We kind of just take them here and there and just say, okay, deal with it. This is your new situation. This is where you're going to be now. So I thought, if I write a story based on what we went through and the feelings that my kids went through, then I think, well, maybe if it's a kid's story, it's going to really be a great starting point for parents to sit down with their kids if they're in the process of moving or they're going through a change in their life, that they can open up that book, and then it might just strike up a conversation. The little child might look up and say, hey, I felt that way. And Mom, I feel like this. So the inspiration was my family, and the purpose is to get families talking and listening to their kids.
I love that, Marla. I think it's great. And I love the book because I'm looking at it right now. It's a family of snails, and it's great, and I love it. And it's Daddy Snail, Mommy Snail, Little Sister Snail, Big Sister Snail. And I love the illustrations. They look like they're kind of all hand done. Can you tell me a little bit more about the inspiration for the illustrations and how you did them?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, since my first child, we started writing books years ago. We didn't publish them until about 2017, but we have other books under our belt. Andrew the Blue Ear Puppy was the first one, and then The Circus Fish, and Here's the Big Move, and then we have a second part to The Big Move too. We can talk about that later. But yeah, my kiddos, it all came about because I'm a school psychologist. I'm always thinking, how can I feed the brain of a child? So, and then having my own kids, I thought, I need to feed their brain. So I decided to, when we wrote this little story about a personal situation that my first daughter and I went through, I thought, let's make this an educational experience. Let's illustrate this book on our together ourselves. And so we began to do some sketch ideas, which I did. And then I had her go with me to the craft store, and we decided to do craft paper, cardstock paper. And the reason for that was I thought she could learn her colors. She could learn how to cut. So in the beginning, the Andrew the Blue Ear Puppy, she actually helped me. I would hold the paper, and she was only about 2.5. And she would hold the paper. I would hold the paper, and she would cut it and snip it, and she'd help me create some of the images and add a little drawings, and I would glue them in the book. So basically, all of our illustrations are done through cardstock. So once we do a little sketch idea, then we cut the images out of paper, just hand cut. And then we glue the whole scene together. It's really quite fascinating. Yeah, I mean, you look at a blank sheet of cardstock, like your average green or a blue or a yellow or an orange, and then you can just, cut your little idea out, and then you glue it on, and there's your scene. It's really a neat way of illustrating it, I believe.
I think it's amazing. And I love that you integrated the family in it, because that's what I think is so powerful, is that, it's great. It's a great concept. It's something that's necessary. And I think it's something that we overlook, dealing with children. We feel like we're kind of the ones that are taking the brunt with the move, and we're the ones that are having to deal with all the changes, but it really does affect the child.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I agree wholeheartedly. I think as adults, we've already been through milestones, and we've already been through disappointments, and we've kind of already seen what how we can overcome those things. But they're in that moment, and we would think that they haven't had such a big thing having in their life before. So they don't know what the end's going to be like. So they're sitting in this moment of worry and concern. And I think it's important to just kind of sit down and listen to how they're feeling, and don't just cover it up and say, oh, you're going to be fine, but really listen to them and reflect on what they're feeling. And then once they look like they've been heard, then you can kind of interject and say, oh, hey, by the way, we're going to be seeing new places. We're going to be visiting new areas, a new park, or a new friend, a new teacher, and just the excitement of the newness of things, new toys, anything to get them to smile about the newness of it, of the change,
Well, I think change affects us all. It's interesting how so many people say, oh, I'm great with change. But in the same breath, they're stressing out and sweating it. And I think that when you're moving, and I know that many of us, have done it multiple times as adults, but I don't think it gets any easier. And I think that when you have kids, kids are pretty connected. They're pretty conscious. And so I think they can pick up on the stress of the adults as well.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree. It's such a stressful moment. The first time we were house hunting, we had our heart set. We thought, okay, this is the house. And the kids helped us picked it out. And we were all excited about it. And then it fell through. We found out that it had something wrong with it. And thankfully, we had found out right when we needed to, or else we would have walked into something that would have been a big problem for us. So, and so that's the stressful moment. You're sitting, at your counter in the kitchen, and you can't hide that emotion of, oh my goodness, this house didn't work out. How are we going to find another home in time, because we're selling our house, or, we've sold our house, depending on the situation. And so you just, what we do, we pray, we place our worries in God, and we think, okay, he's going to make something happen. And so thankfully, we came across another home that wasn't for sale at the time that we had wanted, and voila, there it came up, and we were so grateful. But definitely, the kids can see that you're dealing with the stress and the worry, and they may not tell you that they're seeing it, but I know that they do.
They're so aware, and I think it is interesting. It's all these different stresses, and I think anytime, as a human, anytime we get used to some sort of routine, it's always very it's kind of reassuring. And so I think that when we get out of our routine and we're making these different changes, it can be scary. But you're right. I like the concept of trying to show them the positive side, or the things that can come out of the move, which I think is really powerful.
Yeah, definitely. I know when we were, I think the biggest thing for kids is, even adults, you're leaving friends behind, you're leaving what was familiar, and sometimes you're so scared to make that jump because you think, well, what is this newness going to bring? But I think definitely sitting down with the kids and listening to the main points of what they're going to miss, and then kind of highlighting what you think, because you're an adult, you kind of foresee things differently, and reassure them and let them know, hey, we're going to be coming across new areas we can go explore. Do you remember that time when we took a trip over to this part of this beach where we used to live in the past? And then, oh, can you think of this other beach we're going to see? It's going to be warmer weather. The beaches we used to go to when we lived in the other area were cold, and these beaches are going to be great. We can actually wear our bathing suits and get in the water and feel hot. And with our situation, we were going to be close to family and friends. And where we lived previously, we didn't have family over there. We had one family member kind of close to us, so that was nice. But then I told them we're going to be closer to the grandparents, and so in our situation, that was the positive, was that we're going to be close to the grandparents and uncles and cousins and different people. So, just highlighting all the good points, I think, reassured them. And then also, when they see you feeling confident in what you're saying about what you're going to be doing that's new, then they feel reassured, So I think that's the importance of it, is how you present it and how they take your realism of it all,
So true, Marla. So true. I mean, when we return, we're going to be talking more about the big move, which is going to be great. Talking more about your second book as well, that I'm looking forward to learning more about. as well as learning more about the company that you've created, which I think is going to be so interesting.
Thanks.
So stay tuned. We have more with Marla. Don't miss out because we're here. We have 3 more segments. So stay tuned. Live Your True Life Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Berges, will be back in. I'll be back this time in 2 shakes. It's so hard to go back and forth on the audio. Because the audio is not working. I can't hear the station outside the server. So I had it set up to hear the station that couldn't hear it. So I had to switch that. Wow. Oh my god. Yeah, I know. Luckily, everything sounds good on the live stream. Yeah, we can cut out that first part of the audio. It's a problem. Okay, so for the podcast. You see what I'm saying? Marla, did you get my text?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Let me look. I have my phone here. Let me take.
I'll let you know when to start your timer on the second segment.
I need 30 seconds to close. I'll let you know when to start timer. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and I'll let you know when to start your timer.
Is this going to be a how many minute timer? The second timer is 15.
I can't hear anything.
Oh.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Berges. On today's show, we're talking with Marla Huehmer. Marla is the author of The Big Move. She also has another book coming out that we will talk about later on. She's a school psychologist, and the interesting part about it is I think that anybody that's gone through a move understands the impact that it is. They understand the impact it is on the family, on the dynamic, on the change. But what about the kids? Marla, great to have you back on. And I think it's interesting, being able to write and have this book out to share. And when you started illustrating and writing this, did you find that that really opened up the lines of communication with your kids per se? And you could understand that it would definitely open up the lines of communications for families sharing the book?
Definitely. I think that's actually what comes across in my memory is my little one, as I was deciding on the words on what to say of writing the story. My little one looked up and her eyes kind of said, wow, my mom remembered what I said, and she remembered my feelings, that my worry that she thought she was going to leave all her belongings behind. And I think when she heard me kind of tell her the storyline idea and tell her the words that I'm going to be writing for the book, The Big Move, I think that was a bit of reflection for her, and I think she felt heard, when I saw that little look in her eyes. So I think that just that process of us going through writing the story together, and with the two of them helping me with the illustration ideas, I think it just made the move that we made a little bit more easy and less stressful. I know when we moved here, they were all smiles, and I think the whole process just made them feel a little bit less worried. Definitely.
Did you feel like you had to take some time out moments, with them for anxiety? Because I think sometimes we don't check in, with ourselves, and we might not check in with the rest of our family. And did you feel like that's something that you did too, is kind of checking in with them and seeing how they're feeling and really kind of walking through it, being more mindful because you knew kind of the stress that was involved in that?
I definitely think I was more mindful of what they were going through. And I think my best way to take it was just watch and then react. So I wasn't going to bring up an emotion that I think was going to make them feel uncomfortable, but I was only going to ask them about the positive. How's school going? How are your friends? So just bringing out anything that's like a general question, I was kind of bringing it up general because I didn't want to say, hey, I know you miss your old friend. How are you doing with your new friends? I wasn't going to set it up that way. So I would just merely say, yeah, how are you liking this? Oh, hey, look, this new park we have. What do you think of the park? So if at any time they felt the need to tell me back what they're missing about something because of that general topic I brought up, then I would hit on that. Then I would start talking to them about, how they're feeling and what they're going through. But generally, I would be very broad, and I wouldn't make it a point to bring up anything to make them uncomfortable. Just merely focusing on the present and, seeing what they were feeling in that way. So
I think that's responsible. And I think also it's a good idea not to put words into their mouth and let them be able to vocalize how they're feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was my whole focus and my hope. And even till this day, you always ask just the daily check-ins, how are things going? How's school going? How are things? How are you feeling? We're doing this online stuff. How are you doing with online? And I think with anything, not just specifically about a move, but about a change. Just general questions, I think will help them get talking.
Powerful stuff, Marla. When we return, we're going to be talking more with Marla she has an incredible company and website called ThinkAheadKids. We're going to be talking more about what is encompassed in Thinking Ahead Kids, the activities, the books for kids, the products, some really interesting stuff. So we'll be talking more about that, as well as the second book, which is going to be a lot of fun to talk about too. So stay tuned. So we got a lot to cover in a short period of time. But, I find that these subjects are so interesting, not only for kids, but also for adults. And many of us have children. And so it's inspiring for the whole family. So stay tuned, because Live Your True Life Perspectives with me, your host, Ashley Berges, will be back in. And I'll be back this time in 2 shakes. I need 2 sets of headsets and 2 sets of things so I can have them. And I can hear them both. So that makes it easier. So I'm not getting audio from Lucy Live back from station in the quartet, but I'm not getting the audio back in the mixer. So I'm only getting her audio in the mixer, but I can't get the station audio in the mixer. I only get the station audio from the quartet.
That is so tricky.
But it's weird that they can hear her audio and it goes on the radio and it's going through the Lucy Live, which doesn't make any sense. So something is not right. Either some cord is broken or something has happened. So we got to figure it out. But in the meantime, I'm going to need to have a double hit. I'm going to have another headset.
Okay.
And by the way, this headset's screwed up too because when I move it, like sometimes it goes out of audio. Is he okay? Is he just really happy or something wrong? He seems so calm.
Yeah, he's it's alright. I don't think he's like discomfort.
This is making sure he's like, I hurt.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Glad everybody's tuning in. I appreciate it. Oh, good. People are chatting.
That's right, we are. And it could be you. It could be you interviewing the guests, talking to the newsmakers right in the middle of everything. Have you ever dreamed of being a listener show host? Now give me your chance. Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets. 800-871-3291. 800-871-3291. Again, that's 800-871-3291. Turn it up and jump in the deep end on perspectives. Now, here's Ashley.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Berges. We have a great show for you today. We've been talking with Marla Huehmer, and Marla is the author of The Big Move, and it's a great book for kids. It's a great book for kids and adults to share together, and I think that's amazing. And Marla, you were talking earlier about how there's a second book that you'd like to talk about. Let's
Yeah.
discuss that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I have the second book. It's called Make Your Own, the Big Move book. And the inspiration for that was I wanted, I'm very big on, there's times when we have to use it and there's times that we don't. Video games and, lots of cell phone use. I think that kids are having to use too much of these days. And so I guess, creating books like the ones we have, I would hope that it would inspire, families to just kind of stop and spend more time together and doing fun things together. And so I decided, why don't I write something that's like an activity book, and it's called Make Your Own, the Big Move book. And this will get the families working together, thinking together, and doing something together, and putting the phones down and putting down the video games, and just sitting down, spending some time together. So with the Big Move, you're actually writing and illustrating your own book, and it's replicating the Big Move book. And from what I've seen, kids are very very creative and inventive, and I'm sure they can add pieces of their own, throughout the story when they're creating it. But what I give you in this book is a writing template, and the writing template has about 7 sentences that you fill in. They're kind of like, I want to say not like Mad Lib, but it's a fill in the blank. Like the first sentence would be, to start off, it is time for us to blank. So the child would fill in the rest and write it out. And then I provide a bunch of little illustration cutouts, about 20 pages of adorable illustrated cutouts. And we give great instructions, and they're called assembly instructions, for each page. You're going to have about 7 pages done when you've created this book together. So you're going to have a writing piece, and you're going to have an illustration piece. And when you're done, after cutting everything out, you're actually going to open the book, and you're going to have your own story. And I think it's going to make the kid feel so accomplished. Hey, I did this all on my own. Look at what I can do. Look what I can create. And I know a lot of kids like this book so far. So so that's Make Your Own, the Big Move book. And I think it's great for encouraging kids to practice their writing skills. It helps little ones with their fine motor skills. It teaches kids how to write a sentence, to practice reading, practice punctuation, how to organize, plan, and I think it builds self-esteem. So I think it all kind of works on all those different aspects. It's a cute book.
That's really awesome. So they can kind of create their own story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they write their own storyline. It's based on the Big Move book. So it is about the snails moving. So you do get the illustrations of the snails, the adorable snails that we have, some palm trees. You get to build your own sheep. You can cut out your own pieces to create your own sheep. You have your grass scenes and your sun and your cloud. Your kitchen scenes, we give you adorable refrigerators and cupboards and sinks and faucets, and it's really cute. Boxes for packing and dresser drawers and windmills and a whole bunch of flowers, just a whole bunch of little illustrations that you can create to make your own pages as you move through the book.
Oh, that's neat. Okay, I like that because it gives them a chance to be creative and kind of be their own boss, be in charge. And I think that gives everybody, especially children, some feeling of good and creating that power within. So that's pretty neat. I like that. Well, how did you come up with that concept? Did you just think, okay, let's give them kind of a blank canvas with some options so that they can kind of create their own world?
Yeah, definitely. And I think what I noticed coming, doing a bunch of story times and also being in the school systems, kids are so, they're so creative and they have so many stories in their minds and they want to write their own books. You ask any kiddo nowadays, I want to write my own book. I want to write my own story. But I think oftentimes they'll get to writing, but they won't really know how to, make a middle or make an end. So I think that our book will help them see how to organize their thought process, like how you write the beginning of the story, how it has the middle of the story and how it has the ending. And then it also helps them see how you build a scene for each aspect of the book. So I think my whole focus was to, get the families working together, and then also helping the child see how you do make a book, how you do illustrate, how you write a story. So just to help them, because I know that a lot of them have an interest in doing that. So it's pretty cute to see them tell me about all their stories. During our story time events, I'll get a lot of kids telling me, "Oh, I have a book. Can I read you my book?" It's just super cute. And one will show me all the illustrations they made. And even my own kids, they love writing their own books. My daughter, my oldest one, she writes really amazing stories. And so she just needs to put it all together, and then it'll be good to go. And then my little one, she's only 5, and she does amazing. She draws her little pictures, and it's amazing to see that she can actually create like a beginning to a middle to end with her illustrations. I'm like, wow, that's impressive. I like your thinking.
That's neat. It's neat. And I like the fact, being an author, you're an author, but you also help other authors, right, with their work and try to help them. And there's been some folks that have been listening to the show and they have created or in the process of writing a book or a children's book. And tell me more. I'm over here at your website, ThinkAheadKids.com. And so is this like kind of a go-to for like kids activities, books for children and so forth?
Yeah, definitely. So we created this about, I think it was July, right when COVID was happening. And I actually was inspired to make it because I thought, there's going to be families stuck at home, and why don't I provide them some free stuff? So, because, I feel like I've been blessed in my life. So I thought, why don't I just kind of share things with families? So I decided to just make a bunch of activities on my website and post them on Facebook and Instagram and let families know that these are free. Go in, download them, print them up, cut them out, have fun, and go to town and enjoy your time with your kiddos while you're stuck being inside. So what later on came to be was I started thinking, being a writer, or actually a school psychologist and a writer, I thought I would love to be able to showcase other people, because that's just who I am as a person, is how can I make other people, feel like they're known. I see so many other authors out there working so hard to get people to notice their books, so I thought, our website does pretty well. We get a lot of visitors because of our free and fun activities. So I think, why don't I do something for these other authors and create a section on our website called Celebrating Authors. And so what I do is I create 2 beautiful pages for the author, and they can present whatever book. It could be 1 book, 2 books, or 3 books. And I will show an image of their book, and they help me in creating a great what their book is about. And then they tell me where would they like their visitors to purchase their books. We don't sell the books. We just have links to where the authors have their books for sale. And then we have a separate section devoted just to that author. It's their autobiography page. And we create a beautiful page with their image, all about who they are. And we actually provide 2 amazing reviews. And, being a school psychologist, I think my review is pretty credible. And I think if a parent or educator sees my review, they will think, hey, wait a second, if this psychologist recommends this book and sees these aspects of the book that are important, then, hey, I'm going to pick up that book. And then I also have my children write a review about it. So my little 5-year-old, she can't type, right? But I do take down every word she tells me, and I put it down there. And I think it's really great because oftentimes, authors do not see very many children reviews. Often they're searching for these Amazon reviews. I need an Amazon review. Can you give me one? And usually it's the adult writing the review. But I think our website is so unique and different because we provide that child review and also the psychologist review. And then more recently, to help support our authors and as our books as well, we create something called our Think Ahead Book Club. And Think Ahead Books Club, it's going to start in June and it's going to end in August. And so it's just our way of helping kids remember, pick up a book, read a book. And we're going to be offering the little stories that they can watch on YouTube, and they can engage in our free fun activities. So I think our website offers a lot of fun things for families.
I love it. I think it's a one stop shop, and it's interesting as as an author, and I'm an author myself, self help, but I think it's interesting because it's nice to be able to have somebody around and a group of people that can inspire and work together. Because I know, first time, second time author, even how critical it is to have some sort of support around you, and I think that that's critical. And I think most people out there that's listening to the show that has written a book probably hasn't had that type of support. Would have liked to have had that. And so it's interesting that you're actually creating that. Do you find that having this kind of portal here, does that help get the author's books into the school system, you think, or how does that work?
Yeah, definitely. I think that what we do is we actually do some storytime events, and then when I do the storytime events, I show the students my website, and so I guess you kind of like bring in the books to the school in a way, because they're able to see what other books you have on your website, not just ours. And I think just by knowing that there's a website that people can go to check out their books, I think that's going to actually support authors and getting their books where they want them. We actually, not only do we use our website to showcase the authors, but we also post their books and their reviews onto other sites other groups, Facebook groups that they may not be familiar with, because I have a lot of homeschool groups, a lot of different school groups that I belong to. One school psychologist group. There's actually a child therapy group. There's just a whole bunch of different special needs group and autism group and events groups, different groups that I belong to that I will post their books in, and hoping that, hey, that maybe this book will benefit somebody today. Maybe a mom is out there looking for, what can I do? How can I help my kid today with this? And hopefully they'll come across, our site and come across that book that I just posted and say, hey, I think I'm going to check that out so I can read this with my kiddo and see if it will help us in some way.
When you wrote your first children's book, what did you have to jump over? What was the hump that you had to jump over to make that reality?
Oh boy, I know that our book, the first one that we wrote, it was not till 4 years later till we actually did something with it. I think the biggest thing was learning how to do it. I think the learning how to get what you have written and what you have illustrated onto a format that a publishing company is going to take and create a book out of. So I think that is the biggest hurdle. I think for most authors too is probably finding an illustrator. I know there's lots of sites where they can go and find an illustrator, but and finding an editor and everything. But I think the biggest hurdle was just the technology piece and finding, who's going to take my book and how can we, I think, yes, that's the biggest hurdle is how can I get this to work? How can I get the technology piece to work? So it can be formatted so it can turn into a book.
And that's so true. And it's interesting because the desire to write the book, no matter what kind of book you're writing, is amazing. And then thinking through it and creating that and having that come out of your consciousness is amazing. But then it's like finding the right place and finding the house and finding the family that can make it work. And I know that some people have used self-publishing and some people have gone to publishing companies.
Yes. And
it's interesting. And it's just trying to find that niche of what works best. And then plowing forward, with the idea, creating it and bringing it to fruition.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we actually chose self-publishing, and the reason was because we didn't want to. I didn't want to change the illustrations that we worked so hard together on, and I didn't want to change the words because there was a lot of things that came from, thoughts from my children or hearing what they had to say, and so that's the route that we chose. But I know that there's a lot of companies out there that are willing to take on authors who don't have agents. So that's you have to do homework for that one. But we chose to do self-publishing for sure.
Powerful stuff. When we return, we'll be talking more with Marla. We're also going to be talking actually about golden nuggets of wisdom. So as you know, anytime that I interview folks on Live Your True Life Perspectives, we have the golden nuggets of wisdom coming up. So Marla is going to offer her 2 to 3 golden nuggets. I'm going to also offer mine too. Dan Nelson, by the way, will be back next week on the show. So looking forward to the historical perspective, as well as I'm going to actually be talking about some subject stuff at the end of this show just to give you an idea of what we're going to be talking about and all that good stuff that's coming up, okay? So we have a great show coming up next week as well, but stay tuned because we have the golden nuggets of wisdoms and things that Marla has learned throughout her life that she wants to share. I will share some as well, and we're so glad that you're listening here on the radio on USA Radio Networks, or if you're actually watching on FaceTime Live on social media. So stay tuned. Live your true life perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Berges, will be back in. I'll be back this time in 2 shakes. We'll need to cut off that beginning, have the intro and then cut that little beginning with the audio issue for the podcast. Can you text Bill? I wonder if you can text Bill. I'll remind. What we're going to do is right after this, we're going to go live again, and I'm going to preempt next week's show. For like 15 minutes.
That means doing next week's show.
Preempting next week's show, like what it's going to be about, what we're doing.
Oh, okay.
And then next week. Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Berges. On today's show, we've been talking with Marla Huehmer. Marla is the author, creator of The Big Move, and also the next book behind The Big Move, which is so great. She's also the creator of ThinkAheadKids.com. And Marla, this is the point in time in the show where I'd like to know more about some wisdom that you would like to impart on the Live Your True Life listeners, and I call it the Golden Nugget segment.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks.
So it's interesting because every time I visit with folks, I find that everybody has something to share, some deep wisdom to impart, and some thoughts that are very, I guess, specific to the individual, but can really enlighten us. So I'd love to hear a couple of nuggets of wisdom from you, as well as later on how to find you, how to find the book.
Okay, well, definitely. I think that I guess I would have to go way back from when I was just a little kiddo. I have always felt this, I think it's a nugget of wisdom that I can share if people all go through life with this perspective, is, I think that we were put on this planet to either consciously or unconsciously help one another. I think that there's many times that you consciously help people through, like writing books. You want to touch somebody's life. You want to be there to support them and in some way and support their family. And then unconsciously you help people because maybe you were going to get a cup of coffee and you accidentally, bumped into somebody and then you started talking to them. And little did you know that that person could have had something terrible that was going to happen to them. But in that instant, you prevented it from happening because they took that time to talk to you for some reason. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think that's my golden nugget is just kind of living that life's perspective. And I think the other one would be just to constantly be supportive of one another the best you can, to be there for each other and to be especially there for your kids. I know it's times sometimes parents get overwhelmed and you need a break. You need an emotional break. But, always remember to take time for yourself, but also make sure you take a time to listen to your kids and kind of watch their actions. And sometimes you'll see something going on just by their actions. It might tell you something that they're going through. A lot of times when I used to work in the schools, kids would often, have emotional issues. They would break out. They would do something with their physicalness to just show that something is happening in the classroom that's making them uncomfortable. So I think actions are important to look at and to pay attention to if you're looking at your kids. But the last one to bounce back on that is make sure you take time for yourself because I know that when you don't, bad things can happen, and, you spend your life trying to be there for everybody, and that's important. But I think it's also you got to take a step back and say, hey, I need a break. And it's okay to say, Mom, I need a break. Tell yourself, I'm a mom, but it's okay. I can take this break. It's okay today if I do that.
Very valuable information. And where can we find you?
You can find us on Facebook at ThinkAheadKids. That's real simple. And then Instagram at ThinkAheadKids. And then we have our website, ThinkAheadKids.com. As simple as that. So it's all ThinkAheadKids. Real simple.
So if you're looking for Think Ahead Kids is perfect to find the book, to find other things too as well as the community. And one of my golden nuggets and the only thing I want to share with you today at the end of the show is just checking in with yourself, feeling what it's like to be in your body, connecting with your breath, understanding what are you feeling and being able to just check in. I check in multiple times a day to make sure I just create that mindfulness to know how I'm feeling and what's going on. And it's powerful because it actually shows myself that I internally care about myself, which is also pretty powerful. And I think we all need to be doing that. If you haven't already, check out the website at ashleyberges.com. Remember, we have a great show for you next week. Dan will be back as well. And Marla, thank you so much for coming on. It has been a wonderful experience.
Thank you so much for your time, Ashley. I really had a good time, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And looking forward to having her back on in the future. And check it out. Go to ThinkAheadKids.com. You can find multiple things, different books, and all kinds of stuff right there on that website. It's a good combination and option for also authors who are also creating books as well. So check that out. Great show today. We have a great show for you next week. Okay, so definitely tune in at 1 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Pacific, 2 o'clock Eastern. And we're going to be talking more stuff on Live Your True Life Perspectives. So stay tuned. Live Your True Life Perspectives with me, your host, Ashley Berges, will be back in. Well, I'll be back this time in 3 shakes. Great work, Marla. Good job on the show. Oh, yeah, you were great. Yeah. Yeah, it sounded great. And then that first little audio part, we had an issue with a headset connector. Didn't realize it was bad. So I was like freaking out. But anyway, we'll get another one of those. But yeah, we'll cut that out of the podcast. So But yeah, it sounds great, and I think the show flowed really awesome, and so I'm really stoked about it. So yeah, I look forward to having you back on. So it'll be great, and then we'll get that to you probably next week at some point. Yeah, we'll get it to John, and then we'll get it to you, and he'll have everything, yeah, and then he'll have all the links. It'll be up on like 30 websites, so all is good.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'm so excited. It was really nice to chat with you, and I love your perspective on life too. That's great. I think we should do that for myself too.
Thank you. It's great. It's good. It's something we have to do, and I love your book, and I love your wisdom and your energy. So keep doing it, and then I'll get that to you. And if you need anything from me, just reach out. I'm here. Great job today. Take care. Oh yes, for sure, and I'll let you know when that comes out to you too. So no worries. Have a great one. Bye. Bye. Okay, we had a great show. I'm going to cut off from the Lucy Live. We're going to do, I wanted to reach out to everybody here on the live feed here. Sorry, we didn't have so much time, but I just wanted to reach out to everybody. Jacqueline, great to see you. Melinda, great to see you. Abraham, great to see you. Perfect. 1111. Stephen, great to see you. How are you doing? Naz, great to see you. 4444. I love that. Miss Butterfly Rainbows, hello from UK. Great to see you. Yeah, Naz, where is everybody? No, it was a great show. I wanted to do an introduction. I think I'm going to do it real quick in a separate, maybe in a separate FaceTime here or whatever we're doing here, this live studio, just to show what we're going to be doing for next week. But don't miss, we have a great show for you next week. Dan will be back on the show. And we're going to be talking about some interesting stuff. So we're going to go into some deep relationship conversations. We're going to have a little bit of fun here, and I think it's going to be something that a lot of folks might be interested in. Visiting with Marla was a great show. I really appreciated her coming on. I love her book, The Big Move, and I think she's doing some great stuff, and she's helping kids, and that's the process, is helping kids and connecting and, really being able to communicate, and that's what's so powerful. So that's all, that I think is really great, because it's like, and being with her background too, understanding children, understanding psychology, and helping those children is a powerful thing. And I think, in general, we have to kind of look at ourselves sometimes from our inner child and really understand that, we too have to deal with things as well. We don't always put that in perspective. And so, I think this is always good to communicate with folks who have kids and folks who are in the process of raising kids, as well as us actually connecting with their inner child. And I think that this is some powerful stuff. So I hope that you've liked the show and connected with it. There'll be another show out next Saturday. We'll be live, and I'll actually be solo, and I think Dan will be calling in. So have a great one. If you need anything, please reach out to me, and have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.